A lot of you would have already heard this one, and I think this is pretty cliched on this one. कि चैन से सोना है तो जाग जाओ, which basically translates into if you really want to sleep peacefully, then you must wake up. And this is particularly the case with all the people who are working in Canada illegally. For you guys, you must understand, you must know that CBSA has finally become very active, quite active, and there are so many reports that are coming in from Alberta, from British Columbia, as well as from Nova Scotia as well, that CBSA has been conducting raids, they have been conducting spot checks, they have been identifying individuals who are working without any legal status in Canada. They could be international students who basically are working without authorization. They could be temporary foreign workers who have overstayed their welcome and are now working illegally. They could also be visit visa holders who basically are not allowed to work, but they are working anyways in cash jobs. One of a very good and learned friends, Raj Sharma, who's also an immigration lawyer from Alberta, he was quoted and he basically identified that based on some tips that were received, one van was stopped, and that van had all the workers who were working in a construction company. They were in the coveralls, they had the name tags, their hands were all smudged with the construction paints, etc. And the driver even accepted and acknowledged that they were coming back, or he was bringing all the workers back from a construction site. And once everybody is individually, the status was checked, it was identified that most of them were working in Canada illegally. Similarly, there have been other spot raids that have been conducted on the drivers, the truck drivers, and it has been identified that a lot of truck drivers are actually working illegally. Now, when I'm saying a lot, I mean of the ones that were checked and they were identified as working illegally. Now, you know, in Ontario, you can come to Canada on a visit visa and you can actually get your truck driving license, right? And then while you're on visit visa, you also start working, albeit illegally. Now, you all know you can't do that, right? But somehow you get encouraged because somebody else has done it and you are doing it anyways. And this is what I would like to tell you, that you must stop. Because if you don't, and if you get caught, you will get a removal order, you will be deported, you will be asked to leave, and in many cases, you may not be able to return back to Canada. There are also instances where I have come to know of where, for example, there was this individual who was given a removal order, and after 3 days of receiving a removal order, she consulted with somebody, I can't obviously say who, she consulted with somebody, and that somebody, without understanding what the repercussions were, asked this person to go and file for make a refugee claim. Now, you can't make a refugee claim if you already have a removal order. That is, as per the law, you can't do it. And this person went and did it anyways. Of course, you know what's going to happen with this kind of an application. It certainly is going to get refused, of course. Now, you also have in your record that you have filed a refugee claim, which basically means getting a visa to any other country, especially the first world countries, might be a bit of a challenge anyways. So this is for all these people who feel and who believe that nobody's watching, nobody's looking, Canada's pretty lenient and this cannot happen to you. Well, this is happening. This is happening in a lot of instances. CBSA all this while has never really is not known to be conducting these kind of raids, and therefore I guess that's where the motivation or that's where the encouragement comes from. But this is also an understanding. We all know that. Now, Mark Miller has been very, very clear, the immigration minister, who said that he would like to reduce the number of temporary residents. He would like to reduce it by nearly 20%, the number of temporary residents in Canada. And if he would like to do that, then obviously there would be some difficult decisions that would have to be made. Now, with these difficult decisions being made, obviously, in some cases, removal decisions will also have to be made. And this, I guess, is the first step in such situations, whereby CBSA is now finally getting active, because just by not getting new people to come to Canada, that's not where it will stop. What are you going to do with 3 million people who are already in Canada? 3 million means there are temporary foreign workers, there are international students, there are visa holders, a lot of them who are now overstaying their welcome. Not only that, we also are aware that there are between 500,000 to 1 million undocumented workers who are also in Canada. So these are the people who probably have overstayed their visa, chose not to go back. Some of them probably in some very extraordinary circumstances which prevented them from doing that. But in a lot of cases, these were the individuals who thought that coming to Canada is easy. Let's get a visit visa, and once you come to Canada, then just stay back, right? I mean, who's going to check? Who's going to ask? Well, at least now CBSA is asking. And if you do not want to be caught on the wrong side of the law, then you probably should get your status regularized. Of course, consult with an expert professional, a qualified professional, a practitioner in immigration law who can guide you with your options. But absolutely do not continue to work. Check your status. And also let me then quickly answer some of these frequently asked questions in such instances. What do you do if you are on implied status? Well, implied status is an acceptable, valid legal status. This is a status that you basically get, or it's also referred to as maintained status. This is the status you get when you have already applied for an extension while your existing work permit or study permit was valid. So you applied for an extension, therefore you're on a maintained status. Also, you could be on a maintained status because you have applied for change of status. For example, you are on a work permit, you applied for a visitor record, you're applying for change of status. In this case also, it's a valid legal status. Now, in situations where you get caught, where you are identified as a person, what's going to happen is that CBSA may choose, because it's their authority, it's their authorization. They may choose to issue you a Section 44 report, which will basically be a removal order in your case. And as a temporary resident in Canada, you don't have too many options out of this situation once you get a removal order. If you get a removal order, they're basically a removal order, exclusion order, and deportation order. Now, the removal order will basically give you about 30 days to leave Canada. So you have the time to gather your belongings, say goodbyes, and obviously leave Canada. But when you're leaving Canada, please ensure that you get your departure verified with CBSA. They will want to see your boarding card. They will want to see your passport. They will want to see your they will just want to make sure that you're departing from Canada. They will probably issue your departure certificate as well. Please make sure you obtain one. Otherwise, your removal order, your departure order has now become into a deportation order. So please be careful with that. An exclusion order is issued where you cannot return back for 12 months to Canada. Okay. And in this case also, you must always obtain your departure certification in case if you are one of those unfortunate ones who are now on the wrong side of this story. But other than that, if you're a person who is in Canada, please note that filing for refugee claims is not the best solution. It is not the best option. And if you really are not running away from fear of any persecution, if you really do not have any threat to your life, then filing a refugee case is never a good idea. Because if you go back, you have a problem or trouble with your family, and they will not be very happy that you return back, or because permanent residence did not work out for you and therefore you cannot go back, or because there are no other permanent residence pathway, therefore you make a humanitarian HNC application. These are not the pathways that you're looking for. In some cases, going back to your home country may not be a bad idea. You could go back and learn French. The French, it would actually be cheaper if you learn French and get that as a second language. You could go back and gain the necessary foreign work experience, which will give you those additional up to 50 points in your express entry. You could go back to your home country and gain additional period of work experience. Say you already have 1 year, you could get another 2 years. You could go back to your home country and gain an educational credential. Let's say you only have diploma, you can now complete your bachelor's, you can get your master's. It will be definitely be cheaper. You could also go back to your home country and gain work experience in a priority occupation: healthcare, trades, construction, agriculture, food, STEM, any of these occupations. If you know that, right? 6 months of continuous work experience inside, outside Canada makes you eligible in any of the category draws as well. So you have options. Don't limit yourself with all these unlawful activities, because these will always come back and bite you. Well, this is me just wanting to remind you that please stay on the right side of law, because it reflects on all of us as a larger community. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I'm not sure what you're waiting for. Hit on that like, share, and subscribe buttons and get this started. Take care, and I shall see you next time.